Alrighty. Sorry about some technical difficulties. We are now live on the YouTube here with John from They Said We Said.
Thank you for having me, Kevin.
Yeah, not a problem. You've had me on before. Now it's time for me. When was that? That was quite a while ago.
Is it good 7 months ago? I think the video stated. Yeah.
So
it's been about 7 months.
Yep.
But we saw each other at GP Vegas, though. So.
Briefly. Yep. Too bad I didn't get to hang out with you there. Things were crazy. I spent half the week at Lake Powell. Wasn't going to miss Lake Powell for some dirty nerd convention. And then
you had a nice tan going on. You didn't smell great, though. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, well. Yep. So, yeah. So, John definitely hooked us up. I had some friends that were going to go down to Vegas, and then they ditched out last moment. So we were scrambling, getting a hotel. And John used to work for a hotel, or I guess he still might, right? But in Vegas, and hooked us up. So that was awesome. Those hotel rooms were getting very expensive last minute for that week. So kudos to John for that.
Anytime. Well, not anytime anymore, because like you said, I don't work. I don't live in Vegas anymore. I'm now in the Pacific Northwest, but I have a lot cooler job now. I'm an alcohol buyer. So it's kind of my job to taste wines, beer, and liquor, and buy them, for my store. So that's pretty great. I don't pay for booze anymore.
Hey, well, wait a second. How do you get that job?
Over the phone. That's one good thing about working at Caesars in my position for so long is I kind of got to. My wife, it was almost like a joke. She's just like, hey, I'm like, I really want to move to Washington. And she's like, just throw out some applications, see what happens. And so I did. And then I'm just like, hey, honey, I guess we're moving to Washington because I found a place and I found a job. And she thought I was completely lying. And I'm like, no, seriously, we're moving in 2 weeks.
Wow. I don't know. If I lived in Vegas, I'd probably be looking for any out as well. So.
Oh, my God. Yeah, I did 21 years in that hellhole. So it was time.
Yeah. Going to be down to Vegas for the GP this year?
Yeah, I'm planning on it.
Awesome.
I made a lot of promises. Let's see.
Well, I'm gonna be there as well. That's an easy one for me. So this time we'll have to meet up. See if we can get Coach to come down too. See if he's going to join us on the chat sometime tonight. He said he was, but we'll see.
And the tastiest of snackies, right? Maybe
Tasty better be here.
What's that?
I own Tasty, so he better be here.
And if you don't mind, since this is kind of part of my job, I'm going to crack open a cold one.
Yeah, no problem.
So this is weird. I'm usually the host, not so much a guest in someone else's house. So I'm drinking a Fremont Dark Star. I grabbed the most magic looking beer that I have in the fridge. It's got a dragon on it. A Shibiner dragon.
Shibiner dragon. There we go. There's the art. Spoilers. We got spoiler here. This is the first spoiler we've had on RogueDeckbuilder.com.
Breaking news.
There's Tasty in the chat. We got Tasty. I think I met you, Tasty, Coach, everyone around the same time. Did I meet you on Amino, or did you? I think you reached out to me. That's how we met.
I did. So you want to hear the quick origin story?
Yeah, go for it.
So I started YouTube a little over a year ago, and I started it as, I think my first video was me filming my two youngest daughters singing Welcome to My House by Flow Rider in the back seat of our car. It was very cute, but then YouTube automatically took it down because apparently, the radio, I got a notification or a copyright notification in my very first video. I should have known that, right? I should have stayed away. But after that, I was I was really a big fan of your channel. It was really you, Absman, Sit a Job, back in the day. You guys were my for deck techs and everything. That was my go-tos. And so I was a little bit of a brewer, or still am a little bit of a brewer. And right when Kaladesh came out, my first deck tech on the channel was a aristocrat. I called it, what did I call it? Servo Aristocrats. And so it was like a green black. It was with cryptolith rights and those little servo guys. And then I put it on there, and I'm like, no one's gonna watch this shit. And it did pretty well. I'm sorry. Are we allowed to say what we want?
Yeah, you go for it.
Okay, sorry. my cousin to store and being unprofessional. But so I made it, and then a week later, and this is an ongoing theme between you and I think you're stealing my stuff because you put out the Servo Aristocrat deck tech on there like a week later, and yours got like thousands and thousands of views. I'm like, this bastard. But you know, it's good because I always kind of, you know, thought that we had similar play styles in brewing and stuff like that. Just people knew who you were. But I put that out, and then Coach actually, you know, Card Bazaar, I think he had like 300 subscribers at that time. He reached, or less, he reached out to me on the video. You just said, hey, are you planning on doing more Magic videos? Because, you know, I wouldn't mind collaborating. Looked up, the rest is history. We actually had I convinced him to go on Amino, and he and I and Tasty, and there was another channel, Dracovian Empire, Matt from, you know, Tantus, Dracovian. He's a great guy. Go check his stuff out. But the four of us were actually, I don't even know if Tasty and Coach want me to say this, but I'm just going to word vomit. We were actually planning on doing a Magic podcast back in the day called The Multiverse. And I think we were like arguing on who should be the host and, you know, this, that, and the other thing. And it was really cool. But it did spawn like a great relationship. Like I've like BFS for life with Code. Casey, like he's been on the Hive Mind too. He and I talk from time to time. And then you know, Amino, I just like kind of threw out a Hail Mary. I'm just like, screw it. I'm just gonna send out some invites to the show that I want to start, because I saw in the Magic community, it's just like, I'm just a normal guy. I was never the guy that was like a pro player or anything like that. I'm just like this old dad, right? Living the old guy dream. So I'm just like, I want to attack this YouTube thing from a different kind of angle. And so I wanted to do like the Tonight Show, but for Magic players. And so that's when I just threw one to you, and you responded right away. I about crapped my pants. I was like, oh crap, like Kevin? Okay. And then the rest is history. And then we did a couple episodes. I had some great guests on there. It's kind of gone to the wayside. So now I think I'm just going to do kind of Hive Mind whenever I get like a cool guest. You know, I was just talking to Sybin on Twitter just now, so I might dust off the Hive Mind for Sybin. I'm not going to make it a weekly thing, but just whenever I get a cool guest, I'll bring it back.
Well, for all those who are interested, I criminally pun on my last name as usual, underviewed interview. Definitely, you can go check my interview, but also the one on Conley Woods was very, very well done. And Conley was a huge inspiration to me as a brewer. He was actually the only person. See, I kind of call it a little bit of narcissism, call it hedonism, whatever. But I don't like to celebritize people, because people are just people. So at my pro tour, the only person that I had sign a card besides my opponents was Conley Woods. So because I just was always so inspired by his ability to brew. I always seems to be on the same wavelength as Conley Woods. Like, same probably with you as well. When I built a kind of a dredge, I like to call it, deck back in Theros, he was working on a very similar one, and our pieces came out about the exact same time. This last set at least with Ixalan coming in, we were both like, oh, Marionette Master, gotta break Marionette Master. And we both were different directions on doing so, but I think we were both very successful with the Puppet Master. And then basically, I think the thing that makes Conley Woods, probably not the most popular Conley Woods deck, but definitely up there, is Soul Sisters, and that's definitely the deck that got me popular, was Soul Sisters. So it's kind of funny how brewers tend to be on the same wavelength with those things. And then you mentioned too, you stole my Theta. It's garbage. Yeah.
But you stole my, what was it, Nath? I think you stole Nath, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So you get, shots fired back, boo.
Yep. Well, Tasty's gonna do my Theta deck if I ever get around to doing the transcript, because I'm sick of editing videos. I hate editing videos. So
yeah, last night, and not to, I mean, I guess that's kind of the point, I was gonna say not to plug myself, but that I just was thinking about tonight and everything. So I'm just like, I haven't really edited a Magic video since my last deck tech, and that was a fresh set to the theme of Samurai Cop. And Kevin, if you've never seen Samurai Cop, you haven't lived.
Samurai Cop.
You gotta see this.
I guess I haven't lived.
So bad. It's so bad, but it's so good. So that, I'm not the biggest fan of editing either, but last night I'm just like, oh, I want to do something. So I just threw together our little trailer last night. I was pissing my wife off so bad because I was laughing my ass off because I think I'm a hoot, but she was just like, you have to wake up early. I'm like, yeah, I know, but it's almost done. It was originally just 10 minutes of just that picture of you and I just to troll. But then I'm like, okay, let's scale it back a little bit.
10 minutes, though, that would have made the YouTube criteria for it to be actually pushed. So
yeah, before I get fired, right? I get fired at the end of this month. So
from the under 500 subs, is that what they say, or is it under 1,000 subs?
It's under 1,000 subs and 4,000 watch time.
Well, there you go, people on the chat. Go check out John's channel for that reason. We're going to try to get these under 1,000 people above 1,000, and John is definitely one that deserves the subscribers because great interviewer. So I'll settle the debate. If you and Tasty and Coach, you definitely should be the host. No offense, Tasty. No offense.
Hear that, fools?
But like I said, John is a great interviewer. I've got the link to my interview in the description, as well as John's channel. So definitely go check it out and subscribe. So yeah, any commanders you've been working on from this latest sets?
Oh, I was just like, yeah, dinosaurs and whatnot, but then I'm like, I think I told you and Tasty, I did currently, or I just sold my collection not too long ago, but I sold my collection is strong. I still have quite a bit. I just sold off a lot of the expensive stuff to get, better mic and better everything, because if you go on my channel, people are going to go on my channel after this and be like, where's the magic stuff? Because I do a lot of hosting for other things like movies and TV shows and Star Wars and all this stuff. So I wanted to get better equipment for that, but I still do have a lot of Commander stuff, so I'm gonna hold off just for a little bit to see what Dominaria has to offer, because that's when we all started, right? There's got to be some great stuff in that set as far as commanders go. I want to build with like a old school, when John was a wee John playing kind of thing. So I'm gonna hold off because I've had pretty much every commander under the sun, and nothing kind of just seems to interest me right now.
You should play a tally.
Yeah, I did for a while, but I'm just like, I really like, obviously, my Twitter handles are as I've done, so I love the black white just dynamic. I love the taxing kind of things, and
so
even extort kind of plays fun in Commander, but I don't know, it's just everything lately, and I don't want to be that guy that just does, as you can see from my deck text, I like that tactile kind of real feel, like me showing you the cards kind of thing, because I feel like a lot of people could go on any other channel and just watch people put them on the screen, not naming names, like Limes with Hedge, but
I've probably never played
shots
it either.
Fired. Well done.
Oh, yep. Geez, now you're on the fast track out.
I don't know.
If you park up that tree.
I'm representing hard. Remember this? I got this out of the back of your card.
I know. Jeez, in a hotel parking lot.
How creepy does that sound?
Like 105 degrees outside too. Jeez.
Oh my god, it was fucking miserable.
Yeah,
that GP, just walking around.
The heat wave continues. We're still in a sort of heat wave here. I think it snowed once. I mean, real snow. We've got a couple flurries here and there. It snowed one time this entire winter, and it was 60 degrees yesterday, I believe. So we're
you pretty high up in elevation?
Yeah, this is very, very, very rare, because the temperature doesn't start dropping until about St. George, which is the very bottom of Utah. So, and that's not far from Vegas. And that's where the real heat is there. But where I live is a mile high, and so I'm in a bowl, and so any direction is mountains that go up to 10,000 feet. So, but this has been, there's a ski resort that's at the 10,000 elevation that still has not opened, which is crazy. They usually get 350 feet of snow annually. So yeah, it's crazy. So yeah, Vegas might be miserable again. I think it's a little bit earlier this year though, isn't it?
I think so. Yeah.
Or is it the same time?
Can I tell a funny story about GP Vegas real quick?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so I went in with my little like Canon like Vixia camera, right? And I had like a little arm with a little boom mic on there and a tripod. And that's pretty much what I went there. I'm like, I'm not playing in any events. I'm just gonna film what I could film. I'm gonna do like an impromptu hive mind and just like try to grab some people and pull them aside and just see who I could interview. You know, who cares? I have no shame. So I wound up getting like Matt Tabak, I got Mashi, I got Ethan Fleischer, some of these people. But on the very first day, I remember I can only go on 2 days because of work. And the very first day, the main room, if you remember, that wasn't open yet. That only was available for vendor setup. And there's this little old man as a security guard. And it was this is, oh man, I'll never forget this. I go up and the guy's just like, he sees my camera and stuff. And I'm just like, hey, I'm trying to get it. And he's just like, hold on. And I'm going to name drop. Cedric Phillips was right behind me, right? And he's like, I need to get in there. And the guy's just like, this little old man, he's like, you're not getting in. And then he points to me and goes, this guy, he's with the press. He's getting in. And Cedric's like, Jim, I got people pay me to play Magic and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, yeah, I'm not impressed. This guy, go. And he gives me this wristband. So I was like golden for the rest of the time. So I'm like,
Cedric Phillips.
Over Cedric Phillips, I'm talking to anyone, everyone. Like, I'm just like, I look behind me. I'm like, oh my God, he just dropped a, do you know who I am?
That is a good story. That is a good story.
Wonderful, wonderful. Yeah, I faked my way into the art room too. I'm just like, I asked the security guard, I'm like, yeah, where are they setting up the art? Because it wasn't open yet. And he's just like, oh, I think it's in there. And so I knock on the door and Mike opens the door and he's just like, yeah, can I help you? I'm like, yeah, I'm here to help with the art show. He's like, who are you? And I'm like, oh, you know, I'm kind of with the press. And dude, I was in like Flynn. I was hanging Magic art. I was hanging out with other people. I'm just like, man, this is crazy. But
well,
I have no fear.
You are now press. It's official. MTG Press. So from now on, Wizards better let you in. You gonna go cover the Pro Tour then in Spain?
Hey, that's it, man.
In a couple hours
fake
now.
it till I make it.
Oh man. So yeah, any upcoming plans then for your YouTube channel? Anything you're working on?
Oh man, yeah. Actually, do you know Magic with Zuby? You know the podcast.
I've seen I don't think I've ever seen an episode. Just the name around Twitter. Every now and again, but
he does a really fantastic podcast. And you know, go check him out. But we're both really big fans of this, and I know Tacey's a big fan of this YouTube channel, and that's Red Letter Media. Have you ever heard of them?
Nope.
Oh man,
check it out on the.
That's a rabbit hole to jump down. I mean, they're at like 600,000. They've been around forever. They mostly do like movie reviews and stuff, but they are just complete like old man assholes. But it's like the greatest thing. Like seriously, you will jump down that rabbit hole. You're gonna gain like 40 pounds. And
what was it? Red what?
Smoking cigarettes. What's that?
Red
Letter Media.
Letter. Okay.
So yeah, this is kind of a spoiler alert. So I'm going to be. So Zuby is helping me co-write this video that I'm putting out. You know, it's a Magic theme. It's going to be kind of like speculation on Dominaria. So if anyone knows Red Letter Media, and it's going to be a complete parody, so I'm going to be aping a lot of stuff from them, but I think it's going to be funny, so I'll at least be laughing. Probably Tasty too, because I know he's a fan.
Tasty was in chat. What happened to Tasty? He's not shit talking to me in chat anymore, like he was earlier.
Like, why is John on there? What a hack!
Oh, there he's still in it. Okay, yeah, I just pulled up the good old Tasty Snackies.
I'm gonna pull up the chat too.
Yeah, go for it. We'll start taking some Q&A when we're done with the chit chat. But yeah. So what's happened in the last? You've already. I know that work got in the way with so you're still doing the Walking Dead stuff.
Yeah, that's a show that I'm like pigeonholed in because honestly, and I'm probably gonna piss a lot of people off. I'm not a huge fan of the show anymore. I like the comic book quite a bit. I'm a big comic book nerd, but we're just kind of keeping the show alive because that's what the show is, and that's what people came for initially. But you'll see on the channel we've been doing like this Monday we're going to be doing a review of all 4 Evil Dead movies. So I like doing, you know, retro horror movie reviews. We're doing a Marvel Universe MCU series where we're reviewing each phase at a time. It's me. It's my best friend Tyler. Oh, which you met. You know Tyler.
Mm-hmm. He's the one that
your store.
Yeah. He came. He's from my neck of the woods, another rural Utah.
Yeah. That was the craziest thing ever. I thought you guys were like playing a joke on me or something. He's just like, yeah, I'm totally right there outside his shop. I'm like, what? That was bizarre. But yeah. So he and I, and then my buddy Tony Walters, another great, he's a filmmaker, another great YouTube channel, Rad Entertainment. We're kind of like the main 3, and then we have other people on. So we're doing a double feature next week. We're doing the Evil Dead, all 4 movies, including the newest one, on Monday, and then Wednesday. This is kind of breaking. It's just going to be myself, Tony, and then a familiar name to the Magic community, Alex Kessler, is going to be joining us. And then also Ashley Blodgett from Laugh Stash, and we're going to be drinking and yelling at each other about Star Wars.
Geez, Star Wars. And let me really get your blood boiling. Let's discuss why the last season of Game of Thrones is the worst thing ever. Go.
Oh, really? No, it was so good.
It wasn't Game of Thrones. It was something else.
All right, we're doing a DGT live right now. Okay, tell me what's up. What was your problem?
It was just too. It wasn't the whole Game of Thrones was the characters. You all hated them because they were so human. Was the right way to put them. And there never was. Every episode made you coming away from it feeling like sick to your stomach. The last season just turned into a regular old good versus bad fantasy film, and it's just, oh, come on. And all the characters were very predictable. That's what usually made the first seasons, is the characters were unpredictable. You'd think that one would be a heroic character, and they'd turn on you in 1 second. And I'd even put that to the Starks. Like I started hating the Mama Stark in season 1.
Yeah.
And
whatnot, it's like, you like Ned Stark?
And so this last episode to me just felt too, I don't know, too hoorah.
But the bad guys are totally winning.
Well, the alien type, I mean, that trope, well, in fantasy, the zombies, the things without character. I mean, maybe they can put some character to them. There's hints of that for the next season, but
sure.
It was at least well done. I was just one of those that was like, oh, come on.
See, at the end of season, what was it, 5? It just showed that all the cards were stacked on the side of the good guys. It was just like Daenerys had all the Dothraki, and everyone's finally coming over. She's got Tyrion as the hand. She's got Varys. She's got Dorne. She's got everybody in her back pocket. And then I'm just like, oh God, like, and it's all against just the Lannisters. I'm just like, how are they going to do this? And then immediately it was major spoilers for Game of Thrones fans. Immediately, like episode 1, 2, and 3, it's just like killed all the Sand Snakes, killed all the Dorne people, killed all the, they just started wiping people out. So I was just like, oh shit, like they did make it interesting. And then the Night King has a fucking dragon now. So,
yay.
Nicely put, Kevin. Yay.
I don't know. That's it's if you're into fantasy, I highly recommend checking out Joe Abercrombie. That's my
you were telling me about him, I think
go-to fantasy, just because it's the same. I tend to like the more Quentin Tarantino style. Let's show humanity for all of its good and bad. Well, specifically bad, just to show that everyone is capable of being that villain in the right setting. So for those who do that, I used to be into a lot of fantasy genre way back. I mean, that's one of the reasons I got into Magic. So, sure. But in my adult life, it's kind of taken a backseat. So,
tying it back to Magic, were you ever a fan of the story or no?
You could not care less. Kind of ish. Here we'll get into some can of worms. I had to open up Twitter yesterday with everyone praising the latest storyline of Vraska and Jace.
Right.
And I read through that stupid thing like this is some of the, I always think that they're gonna hit, like, they can't hit a new low of the worst, just sloppy writing. Like, it wasn't even good, and people are even pointing out there was grammatical errors and you know, mispunctuation. So I'm not that big of a stickler on that sort of stuff, but oh man, the story was awful. Nicol Bolas hitting a guy with its own arm, and everyone's like, "Oh, that's so cool, so funny!" Ha ha ha! I ripped his arm off, Nicol Bolas. I'm like, yeah, the guy would have probably passed out at that point. And
Yeah,
but I mean, it's just
his ass. Yeah.
Oh, it's just it's so bad. I just don't like the direction they've gone with anything.
There's no original ideas anymore with the story. I mean, this was what, Maze Runner, pretty much. I mean, it was like, everyone go to the city of the whatever, and then it doesn't matter because they threw the first person there anyways out the window or something, right? I didn't really follow it. It's no Weatherlight Saga, I'll have to say.
Well, my problem with the early Magic is I was never a big fan of when they tried to kind of meld sci-fi and fantasy. I was kind of a fantasy stickler, and I always felt that Magic had too much of that sci-fi element to it. And you know, I'm not that bad. I mean, if it's well written, I'll usually like it. That's usually my kind of deciding factor. So this last bit has just been brutal. I didn't even finish it. Like, I skimmed through it. I'm like, I can't. Got better things to do. So
I can't even.
Yeah,
you're like a void winnower, right? And it's like you're all odds because you can't even.
Hey, there you go. Puns.
Hey.
Here go the puns.
Hey, no.
You know, the art direction with Magic has just killed it. Like, I still say Tomb. Was it Tomb, not a Tomb Robber? They missed a great opportunity to make a little parody of Tomb Raider.
Yeah.
Nope. Let's not go there. Let's not go there. Right. So.
Yeah. I like I like how dark they got in Theros. I actually did kind of enjoy that story. I mean, the overall story was a mess. It was really poorly written. But I did like how dark they went with, you know, offing Elspeth. I liked how they made the white god, the evil god, and all that. I thought that was interesting. And I really liked everything with New Phyrexia and all that, just because it's just so disgusting and so kind of Cenobite. And to, you know, like you said, you didn't like, that's probably more sci-fi, so you probably didn't like it as much. But I liked how gruesome and disgusting they really push it with the Phyrexians. And you know, Phyrexians from the past, and you know, fight me in real life. But I love Eldrazi. I love Lovecraftian themes. I thought it was fucking bullshit. Excuse my French. With how they wrapped up the ending of Eldritch Moon. It's like, we're just gonna, you know, Emrakul's just gonna let herself be put into a moon, and that's it. And it's like, that's so stupid. But and that's the sad part about it, right? It's just like they have good foundations, but they just have no one competently doing anything with that direction, in my opinion.
That's what happens when you take someone that's supposed to be regulating a social media account and put them into creative writing. So.
Yeah. Yikes. I'm not making any friends tonight, Kevin. What is it about you that brings this out in people?
I don't know. I'm just that way. I'm always that pessimist. So that's what I always talk about personality theory on when I talk to people about just why the way I do the things I do. But that's it with most ENFPs. If we're in Jungian psychology here, we start off as these big positive, like everything is going to be great and unicorns and rainbows and sunshine, and it's just disappointment layered upon disappointment, layered on frustration, layered on more disappointment, where it's just like you turn into the most cynical mess and just pessimistic about everything. So now I always look at everything through a pessimistic eye before I get converted to like, okay, this can be pretty good. So
everything has to be like a prove it first kind of thing.
Yeah, like a lot of my friends hate when we go to movies because I'm looking to be critical about it. So like, oh, Kevin's just gonna crap on this the entire time. Let's just and I've been accused too of, if it's popular, I'm going to hate it. But you know, if things are popular, I'm gonna look more critically at it. Then like I probably didn't give Force Awakens a good shake, because when I went to see it, the hype was already out. It had a 9.4 rating on IMDb, and I'm like, okay, this is gonna be good. And then I go into I watched that movie, and No way. There's no way it can even come close to a 5.4. It was a train wreck of a movie, and
5.4 out of 10.
Yes, I'd give it a solid 4. It's a solid 4. It's a solid 4.
Solid 4. Like that's a good.
I actually liked The Last Jedi more than I liked The Force Awakens.
Oof! Yikes. Well, I mean, okay. To be, you're not entirely wrong. It's Force Awakens was just it was a redux of Episode 4, right? It was A New Hope again with better effects at this point. So it was everything that we've seen again. You know, you like Death Stars, here's a bigger Death Star. You like lightsabers, here's bigger lightsabers. Here, you like blah blah blah. You like, it was just everything we've seen again. Last Jedi was a freaking mess, though. I mean, it looked like you gave a little 8-year-old a can of paint and just said paint a wall, and the editing was poor. Some of it had the best Star Wars moments that I've ever seen in Star Wars. There was cool moments, there was good throwbacks, but as a whole, as a cohesive movie, it was trash. And especially everything with Finn and whatever her name was awful. That was straight out of the prequels. But it was horrible. I'm warming up for Wednesday. So, yeah. What did you like so much about Episode 8 then?
You're assuming I liked it. See,
I
didn't even have enough.
It was a 4.1 instead of a 4. Right?
It's pretty close to that. I didn't want to waste my money so bad that I pirated it. I watched some Spanish version where it had English subtitles, or no, other way around, had Spanish subtitles because it was in English. But you couldn't get rid of it because it was just someone using their camera to film the theater. That's how much respect I had left for the Star Wars franchise. So, and this is someone that I used to like it. I waited in line for Star Wars Episode 1. We camped out for like 2 days to see it. So and that's so I had good memories with Star Wars. Loved the original 3. And I didn't mind. I actually didn't mind the prequels. Like, everyone hated them. And I thought if you took away Jar Jar and Anakin and a few of the other some of the nonsense stuff, it wasn't that bad of a movie. It still flowed well. It still had a plot that was reasonable. The writing was fine. The character development was still at least existed, rather than the whatever was in Force Awakens. That's not character. There was no character development. It was all just pushed. It's the Last Jedi at least felt like there was something at least original. I don't know. It was a lot better. And so, well, the thing is that, to be fair, I went into to hate Rogue One. I actually waited like 6 months before it released to see it. And then I saw the reviews and everyone hated it. And I went in like, this wasn't nearly as bad. It's like, that's a solid 7. Rogue One was a solid 7.
Rogue One had the best last 30 minutes of a Star Wars movie. I fell asleep in the middle, though. It was dead boring. In the beginning, it was okay, and then they just went from planet to planet to do this, and freaking Forrest Whitaker had some weird voice thing going on. That just completely took me out of the film. And then once we got to the end of the film, that's when everything started happening and all the stuff. That's when I'm like, okay, this is pretty sweet, but I can't forgive the rest of the movie. I mean, it was just boring in my opinion. Cool ending though.
It was even the last like 10 minutes is how fast paced it was, and it was like, that's what I couldn't. There was a lot of people I talked to that just hated the movie because everyone dies, and it didn't feel like a Star Wars thing to them. Like, okay, it shows the sacrifice that a lot of people had to do just for these Star Wars videos to exist, just for the rebellion to happen. So I like that. In fact, there was a game called Shadows of the Empire back in the day that had a great storyline. And some of the spin-offs of just kind of the fan, just the whole genre of Star Wars has had some good writing. So,
did you ever play Knights of the Old Republic back in the day?
Not really. Like, I played, I think Shadows of the Empire was Super Nintendo. You're gonna see how old I am here. Super Nintendo.
No, it was N64.
What's that?
N64.
Was it for N64? Okay. Yeah. Okay. Oh, yeah. Yep. That makes more sense. And then right after that, I think N64 was the last console that I had all the way up to Xbox One, I want to say.
Oh wow.
Because
you skipped the 360, huh?
I just wasn't really into console games after that. I just thought that computer games were so much better because of the online aspect to them. So my history of gaming is more of a competitive gamer. So I got into StarCraft, got obsessed with StarCraft, almost moved to Korea for StarCraft. That's how obsessed I was with it. And then after I played StarCraft, I got into Warcraft 3. Warcraft 3 was awful, but there was a use map settings thing called Dota that I got really into. And then I actually got into World of Warcraft after that. And so everything was just like I'm the typical, I guess I'm more the minority with gamers because I tend to get into like one game. It's like dating. I have one game, I don't cheat on that game. It's my focal point. And where a lot of people I know they're playing like 5, 6, 7, 8 games at a time. I just can't juggle that. So, right now I play Magic and Dota, and that's it. I literally don't play any other games right now. That's kind of sad, but yeah. But yeah, so it was just, there was nothing for me on console during that time period. So
I'm with you. I'm with you 100% on the whole being kind of faithful to one game, because I'll pick like a Bethesda game. I did everything there was to do in Oblivion. I did everything there was. These are Elder Scroll games. Everything there was to do in Skyrim. Also, the Mass Effect games were perfect. Well, let me backtrack. Mass Effect 1 and 2 were perfect. Great storylines. Better storyline than most movies have. And then 3 was a mess. I even played the new one. I don't even recognize it. It wasn't even any of the old game developers or game designers for it. And from what I heard, it's just a big pile of poo. So I skipped that one. But yeah, Fallout Vegas was another one. Obviously, I lived in Vegas for so long, and Fallout Vegas was like made for me. I went down a deep rabbit hole there. It was pathetic because I would literally do nothing else, and some weird games too. Like back in the day, like I had a weird Sims thing for a while, which I'm not proud of, and I'm kind of embarrassed to say. But yeah, I tend to find these games and just kind of go. Fables, Fable series is another one. I'll just play the hell out of these games until there's literally nothing left, until literally all the achievements have been achieved. And then I can never touch it again. Like my son's playing Skyrim right now, and he's like, "Hey, Dad, did you do this part? Did I do that part?" I'm like, I can't even look at that game because I played it like 9 months every day, all the time. I'm just I can't do it anymore.
Yeah, I guess I had a PlayStation because I played Final Fantasy VII. That was the other game I got really into. So, but yeah. Final Fantasy VII was almost the end of where because I played a lot of these type of games for the story. To me, it was like watching a movie or reading a book. And to be honest, I didn't even like the gameplay of Final Fantasy VII. It was just something I had to do to get through. So, in fact, what was that shooter game? Last of Us came out. I played the first little scenario of it and said, screw this, I'm just gonna watch the YouTube videos of the storyline. And it's like an hour long. It actually is like a video, and I just watched an hour long of Last of Us where they spliced it all together. So
I did that too.
Yep, did that a few other ones because I couldn't stand Last of Us. That game got so repetitive. Even after like the first little bit, I was like, I'm done with this.
Well, it's miserable to play too, right? Because I can't stand cover games. It's like I just want to run out and just shoot and be ridiculous, and that game does not reward that kind of mindset. That game rewards just you have to like find stuff and almost forage, and it's like Resident Evil games. Like you have to use your ammo as such a resource, and you have to pay attention to that. It's like, no, just give me unlimited ammo, just let me go. I don't care, and The Last of Us was just miserable. But yeah, I did the same thing. I played for I think like 3 hours or something like that, and then I just YouTubed the rest because I was interested in the story.
Yeah,
it had a nice cinematic feel to it, but the gameplay was so boring in my opinion, and I was just like, I can't do this. Another series of game was the Dragon Age games. That's the worst game that I played 4 times. Dragon Age 2. It was so stupid and I hated every moment of it, but I literally played through it 4 times. Like each of the dungeon maps were just the same thing, just regenerated where like different doors were unlocked so you could get to like one different room and, you know, it'd have a different weapon in there or a different whatever. The worst game ever, and I played it 4 times. I have no rationale for how my stupid brain thinks, but that was ridiculous.
You just explained Zelda. Jeez. All my friends back in Nintendo, like I loved Dragon Warrior was the game that I really got into clear back in Nintendo. And I remember all my friends were always the arguments like Zelda's better. I'm like, all Zelda was trying to solve, like, they weren't even like good puzzles. It's just so repetitive trying to figure out what to step on. And yeah, I hated it. But
did you play Dragon Force? Well, I had where in Vegas I had Sega Channel. Did you have that in Utah?
No.
Back in the day?
Well, I haven't. Definitely not. Sega Channel for what, TV or? Sega?
Yeah, it was like Cox Cable. I don't know who your cable provider is, but it was literally like a big Sega Genesis cartridge that your cable company would provide. This is like way early.
Yeah. Okay, so you can just play games off of it.
Yeah, you plug in a coax right to the back, and you'd play whatever. And I remember playing like, you know, all the Shining Force games, which were just so underrated and so fantastic. Great RPG for anyone that's looking for, you know, that you could just go online and probably download a simulator for. You know, Shining Force is fantastic. And all the Final Fantasy games and stuff like that. Those are so much fun. But yeah, it was just like the Zelda games were. I only got into like Link for the Past for SNES was pretty great. But besides that, I was like, yeah, I could give them. I didn't care.
Man, poor kids these days. They're not going to understand the nostalgia we have for games. I remember some of my favorite moments growing up was to go to Blockbusters, rent out a game, and have a sleepover. And play it all night, and then the parents come in. It's time for your kids to go to bed. Okay, turn off the lights, and then we're getting out flashlights to continue the game, and then have the version of like a hangover. The kid hangover the next day.
Add Jack Daniels to the mix too when we were young.
Really? Wow.
I was a really bad Mormon.
We got another Mormon in here. That's rare, right?
Yeah.
So I like to always like to make fun of my mom that there's more people that play Magic than there are Mormons, and then she gets because when I started the YouTube channel and started playing in this, that I wouldn't say my family is unsupportive, but they definitely weren't supportive. I mean, even to this day, I bet they're not really like I don't think they've ever watched a YouTube video I've ever done, or they sort of know what I do, sort of can kind of understand ish stuff, but it's kind of pathetic that. Really into sports though, like in our family we had a cousin that got a scholarship to play basketball. And it was like the biggest deal ever. It's like, oh yeah, like this so I looked into it. It's one of those scholarships where they try to hook you into so we'll pay for your, like, it's like a fourth, like, or even a half, like, or we'll give you the first semester scholarship. So it didn't even really matter. They got to sit on a bench or maybe even play for I don't know if it's like a full, like whatever the school was, if it actually did compete at like a high level or could ever get any sort of I mean, what was the end game? That's what I'm trying to say here. And they had to dish off tens of thousands of dollars to go to this school. And it's like, it was a scam. If I could start a college and give people scholarships to play basketball, I would too. And so it's like, man, here I am with what now almost 30,000 subscribers. If this would have been a basketball channel, or if I somehow, what's the equivalent to that in the sports world, or you know, something like that, I'd have my entire family would be like, wow, look at my son, he's so successful in this thing, and it'd be encouraged. But since it was a stupid game, it was something like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? It's a waste of time. That's all I always heard, is a waste of time. So always been a gamer though. So did you grow up in Vegas then?
I'm originally from San Diego. I spent, unfortunately, like 2 years of my life there, which I wish would have been more. And then I lived in the armpit of the United States, Lancaster, California, Antelope Valley, Lancaster, Palmdale, until I was about 10, and then Vegas for 21, 22 years, and now Washington. Yeah.
So yeah. So Vegas does have a very big LDS.
Huge.
Yeah.
Huge. Yeah.
Influence to it. That's it. A lot of people don't know. There's probably a Mormon church on every corner. Well, at least when you get out of the strip.
Well, they found it. I guess they're the ones that found it, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Apparently it means something like the valleys or something like that, and some sort of
the Vista.
The Vista, huh?
Vista. Yeah.
It's some sort of dialect of Spanish, right? Is that what they figured out? But we can't figure out because, like, I remember we had a exchange student that lived with us from Spain and had no clue what it was, and neither did any of my Mexican neighbors. No one knew what Las Vegas because it didn't translate. But anyway, yeah, a little bit of history.
I don't want to go to the you didn't say go to the chat yet, but someone in the chat, Tron Beetle, said, "Oh my God, Sega Channel was awesome." So I wasn't the only one.
I remember it just existed. Like, okay, so the history with my family, they bought a Nintendo, and because my parents were convinced it was, remember when they used to, they absolutely did try to market the first Nintendo to families because they didn't think that a kid couldn't afford it. So if they were trying to say, hey, this is a kid's toy, they look at it like, what? Either this or a microwave or something, something the family needs. Or so they wouldn't, of course, give that to a kid. So Nintendo marketed as a family entertainment system. That's exactly how it was even specified. Family entertainment system. So my dad bought into it thinking it'd be a good thing for us to do. And I think my dad thought he was hip back in the time, like up with technologies and things like that. But he got it, and they played Duck Hunt and Mario Brothers, but as soon as we really started getting into other games, then it was just like, you kids are just wasting all the time on this. And that was like the end of it. That is the last thing that my parents ever purchased. Every other video game system from then on out, I saved up for and bought myself because my parents were like, nope. Same thing with Magic. I was never given Magic as a holiday gift or a birthday present because my parents hated it. I think I've told this before, but a funny story about that, and it has a little bit of a Mormon element in here too. My dad actually thought that Magic was satanic because of the kind of the D&D. Well, not really satanic, even worse than that, because a little bit of history about the dark part of Utah, kind of Arizona, Utah. Ted Bundy, serial killer here, was caught in Utah, I believe. That's where
this chat is taking a turn.
But this has a lot to do with like how magic was first perceived, because he was caught. He's actually still, they executed him, right? I think he's dead. I don't know. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's dead now.
I'm pretty sure he's dead. I know Charles Manson just died.
I think they executed him back even in the 90s or the 80s. But before, the guy was such a narcissist. He was just the biggest attention whore you'd ever meet. So when he was caught, he was like, well, it's just not, I wasn't born this way. I'm just not a serial killer. It's because of this, and that. And the two things that he said, it was D&D and pornography that got him into killing people. I remember that. Because it gave him, the pornography gave him the drive, like the drive to prey on women. And D&D, it was like, they just started out as like, he was a thief that killed people in D&D, and so it's like, this just is so fun in the virtual or the fantasy game that he was going to do it in real life now. That was like, it was, so the Mormon Church pumped just millions of dollars researching it because it hit their agenda on this down with pornography for one, and then also down with like these fantasy games. And it was just pathetic that even today you can even find this junk research in psychology about how D&D is like psychologically bad for people. And we went through the big video game revolution too, that video games cause violent crime, which has been debunked over and over. But Magic got lumped in with that, and it didn't help that they had the satanic symbols. You have some racist stuff in the early days of Magic too, like invoke prejudice, and so my dad hated it. So we had to actually hide Magic for a bit when he would get on his big like rants about things. But
sorry to cut you off, but and this is kind of a personal question, but was your dad a bishop?
No, he's never. I think he's been in the bishopric. They're still active Mormons. My family now has one inactive, one sort of active but didn't get married in the temple, which is a big deal in Mormon culture if you don't get married in the temple. And then there's me that is ex Mormon, I guess is what I like to call myself, because I find myself allying with the church more and more, but not on a religious level, but more just on a cultural level on a lot of things. And then there's my brother, who's just way against it. Like he's totally can't stand the entire culture. If he could live his days in the mountains, he would. He's just a rock climber, kind of hippie type. And
younger or older?
Younger. He's my younger brother. My family, there's a big gap. There's me and my older brother. We're the med school babies, so I grew up poor. And then there's the 10 years, and then they have two more, and those are the kids that grew up with the money. So I like to make fun of them for it. So, but yeah, so that's it's none of my other siblings play Magic either. But yeah, it's so my parents are still. My mom's the Relief Society president right now, which is kind of the equivalent of the bishop for females. So
yes, it is.
So yep,
Mr.
there's
president.
So she's busy. Yeah. So that's good for her though, because she needs something to do. Otherwise, she'll go crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I was born, not like you asked, but I was born Russian Jew. And that's kind of what I still kind of identify with. But my mom was a weird, and I've lost both my parents. My dad, I just lost this last month, but my mom was a big, I don't know. There's no nice way I could say this, so I won't. But she wanted to do the cornucopia of religion, and to whatever benefited the family at the time. So we were everything from Jewish to Jehovah's Witness for a while. Then we were Mormon for 8 years, and then I just said, "Stop it! I'm done. I'm done with organized religion. I'm not doing it anymore." It was to the point. I remember the breaking point for me to stop going to the Mormon Church. And okay, let's be fair. The Mormon Church does man, this magic podcast has really turned into something else. The Mormon Church does a lot of things right. It does a lot of stuff about family. It does a lot of cool youth stuff. It does a lot of cool things. They look out for each other, blah, 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 blah. However, I had a weird thing about when they wanted me to get in they wanted me to do baptisms for the dead. And that was just like, okay, something just doesn't feel right about this. I'm out. My Jewish relatives that have died, they want to stay Jewish, right? Like the Hanukkah hat looks good on them. Let them keep it. So I kind of shied away from the religion after that. But I mean, we weren't anything in the, we maybe, even when we were Mormon, we went to church once a month. It was just to kind of show face and be like, hey, we're still here kind of thing. But my mom had a weird thing about taking in like strays, and I'm not talking about stray cats, but stray people. So we had a lot of missionaries after they were done with their mission come and live with us as like this weird kind of transitional home, which was just bizarre. So we had people in and out all the time. But yeah, I mean, you actually went on a mission, right? If I'm right?
Yep. I got kicked off at 17.5 months. I almost made it. Almost made it all the way.
Yeah.
I think I'm the only one in the history of the missionaries that's been kicked off for having a guitar.
Yeah, I remember that story. You were talking to Tacey about that. I'm just like, oh my gosh. But that's like, he's not exaggerating. That's really how it is. It's just like, and sometimes I'd have these missionaries come in. I was this like young punk rock kid, skater kid, and I'd just be like blasting Green Day or Nine Inch Nails as loud as I could in my room. And some of these missionaries would just kind of be like, oh, excuse me, Sister Combs, or whatever last name my mom had at the time. And she, they kind of stow away in my room, just be like, fuck, I'm just so glad to be listening to Green Day right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I guess since we're on this topic, that's a little bit of mission life. You're definitely pressured to go on missions. If you don't go on a mission, there's something wrong with you. That's what it's in. Plus, you've been like, ever since you're young, we have a thing called primary, which is the kids under age 12, I believe, go to primary. And you sing a lot of songs. There's a lot of things. I don't like to use the word cult too much because people get the wrong idea. about it. But the real terminology of like cultish behavior definitely applies, because when you're young, you in primary, you get up and barrier testimony is what it's called, and they teach kids very on how to give what are called, we call them talks, but are just like speeches. I guess talks still translates over into the real the real culture, but you just give up and give a talk on a specific subject, and your mom and dad come and help you and whatnot, and then you sing songs. So one of them was, you always sing, I hope they call me on a mission. So when you're a little tiny kid, you're constantly through your head repeating it. I hope they call me on a mission when I've grown a foot or two. I hope by then I'll be ready to preach and teach and live as missionaries do. So you're fantasizing. You're putting this whole mission life on a pedestal. And then everyone in my life as well that had gone on missions, my dad, my older brother, everyone, people that hadn't gone on missions, like they regret it, but the ones that did always repeat the phrase, it was the best 2 years of my life. So it's like, wow, I've got to go. And I think that people that go and it ends up being this, like, it's miserable for some people. I mean, sure, for some people they might love it, but for the vast majority, I think it's just sheer boredom that gets to you. Because you're literally knocking on doors and being rejected all day long. So if that's someone's best 2 years, time to see a psychiatrist. But I think you justify it and rationalize it because you think you should be doing it. Most missionaries I do for them think that they really do believe that they're out there for a reason. You start to find correlation with coincidences that if you can use cognitive dissonance enough, you can think that it's a miracle or I remember that was one of my big shelf breaking moments. For those who don't, the terminology of the shelf is you can only hold so much until it breaks. So a bunch of cognitive dissonance gets piled up and then your shelf breaks. And so one of my big shelf breaking moments was like, there was just something that was so coincidental, and it was but everyone around me was like, that's proof of God. Basically this is, or I felt in mission culture, I felt the Spirit. That's what you say all the time. Don't you feel it too? I feel the Spirit. It's, it's just so, I like, and then it just made me like, okay, I can't, I don't believe in this anymore. And it little by little just worked on me until I'm like, yeah, I'm done. I'm completely out of this. This is BS. I can't juggle the cognitive dissonance any longer. But yeah, that's funny because I know that as a missionary too, we try to find people like your family. We called it the hangout families because they just let us be ourselves. They give you a name, the Elder. Your name is Elder, and your last name. Like, no one has ever referred to me with my last name until I went on a mission. I was Kevin up until I go on the mission. Now I'm all of a sudden Elder Crimin, and you're always with another person. It's called your companion, Elder whoever is with you. And so, Elder, how are you doing, Elder? And it just takes your personality and rips it like it's gone. You're supposed to be just this stock person for 2 years. Yeah,
it's very Handmaid's Tale if you watch that show, but it's. I don't think you would. I don't think you did watch Handmaid's Tale, knowing you.
Well, haven't seen it.
But yeah, it is. It's bizarre. And I bought into it for a little bit, right? I was young. I was just like, man, I can't wait for my mission. And my goal at that time was like, I'm gonna go to BYU Hawaii.
Ugh.
That right? You just threw up in your mouth a little bit. And here, while we're talking about this, let me crack that open. And this is a no-lie Brewhouse Wrecking Ball. Got to pay the bills, Kevin.
Hey, there you go.
Elder Crimin.
Yeah, you can write this off as like promotional stuff, right?
Exactly. And I just want to say, because on DGT Live, I say, I rate my beers. Fremont Dark Star. Now, this is Imperial Oatmeal Stout. This was fantastic. I would give it a 4.5 out of 5.
I am a fan of oatmeal stouts. I am. It's
really.
We had some good breweries in Salt Lake. I miss Salt Lake. Going back to the whole religious thing, Salt Lake's actually not very Mormon.
Right.
It's funny. I mean, I'm sure it hurts. It's like cuts deep that the headquarters of the church is now been taken over by by heathens.
Now, right?
Oh, it's hipster is an understatement. Now we're going to get into Utah culture because Utah just needs a culture. That's its problem. It actually has a culture, but no one wants it. So they borrow everyone else's culture. So Salt Lake is obsessed with Seattle culture. So my fight in the Seattle culture stems back from my Salt Lake days for sure. If you go a little bit south of Salt Lake, you get into like Sandy, and it's still what's called Salt Lake County, so it's still closely associated. But they want to be California big time. Like southern South Lake County wants to. I even call them bro, like they're the bro personality. And then you go even further south into Utah County, and they're like a mix of just go watch any of the popular Mormon. There's one called like Studio C that's gone viral on YouTube many times for some of their skits. It's a BYU run comedy skit, clean comedy. They did the soccer one with, I can't remember what they call it, where the guy keeps blocking shots with his head and then he falls over, and that went millions upon millions of views.
Brought to you by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Well, they want to be hip and cool. So it's funny because, Provo tries to meld. They try to be California bros and good Mormons at the same time. So go watch like Dude Perfect's channel or what some other stupid ones that are so Mormon. Mormons are very successful in the YouTube genre too. I would say Utah is probably top 10 in most influential states on YouTube, because we have Piano Guys, we have Lindsey Sterling, we have Devin Supertramp, Kid History. There's lots of very prominent YouTubers. They're still in this kind of culture, but and then so Salt Lake does have a lot of kind of the more hipster Seattle vibe to it, I would say. But it's pretty diverse though.
So I'm going to defend where I live. I don't live in Seattle. I live in a little town called Bothell. Well, it's not actually little. It's pretty big now. It's like we moved to Vegas in 1995, and in 1995 Vegas was still not really what Vegas is today. Like it's still like a little oasis in the middle of the desert, and literally, when you're driving in from like California, whatever, or even Utah, you could see, Vegas kind of appear before your eyes, and it's kind of like a mirage out of nowhere. Right now I live in like a lived-in little town that's kind of gotten big, but it is a little more blue collar. It is pretty cool out here, so it's not so elitist, and I don't usually put my stances out there because rule of thumb in podcasting, you talk politics, you cut off half your audience. But I'm just saying it's kind of just a cool place to not be judged, and to drink amazing beer, and to drink amazing wine, and just to kind of just kind of be nondescript, where you're not in the spotlight of proper Seattle, but you could still enjoy everything that it has to offer. So I love it where I'm living right now. Plus, it's not a million degrees anymore. I hate the sunshine, so Vegas was literal hell for me for so long. I worked graveyard for a reason. I always volunteered for graveyard when I lived in Vegas because I literally hate sunshine. I'm super weird. I don't like anything over like 68 degrees is hot to me. I just went outside, I think yesterday, and it was, I think the temperature said 48 degrees, and I was in shorts. So I must have some, in this, this Russian Jew body, I have some maybe Viking in there, something that I don't know about. Maybe it's the 15% American Indian from my dad's side, but I could go out in like the blistering cold and just be fine. Which was, even in my last job, it was literal hell. I had to wear a full suit and tie, and I worked inside all the time, but it was underneath, it was like underground. And I had to like disappear for like minutes at a time to go hide in a walk-in cooler somewhere, just because I just can't get cold. Maybe it's all, I didn't used to look like this, age hasn't treated me well. But whatever it is, so that's why I'm like, the weather up here is so amazing. I love, the darker, the grayer, I would be happy in England, I think, because I just want to be like spit on and just freezing all the time.
No thanks. I am a summer child. I hated Vegas though. If it gets over 90, I'm miserable. Like a lot of people, I'm down in St. George all the time. Now, so it's nice in the winter, but is it miserable in the summer? There's no way I'd live in St. George or Vegas.
with my mom's old so you know, my mom used to be like the voice of, she was an entrepreneur, which is pretty cool. This is probably the one thing that I kind of adopted from her that was useful is, you know, I don't like working for other people. I mean, I do now because of free booze, but before, or you know, she kind of created this company. She was like, she did on hold messages. So she was like the voice of like Nevada Power, or, you know, NV Energy now for whoever lives in Vegas. And so she did all these like, you know, prompts over the phone and kind of voice messages and stuff like that. So I don't know where I was going with it. Yeah, seriously, I've lost my train of thought. But I do see MTG Purple, and
he's starting crap with me. I'm gonna.
He says, "I wish Kevin would volunteer for the graveyard forever." Wow.
Oh man, that purple.
Damn it!
Are you? He's got to be DCI banned now. I did everything to the book, by the book. I followed the procedures to get someone DCI banned. So
you were shaking mad, right?
I was literally shaking, and yeah, it's. Man, I showed the evidence, everything. You better. It's coming. It's coming.
He sure did like the photo I made of you and I.
That was the thumbnail to this video, actually. So
I saw that. I was like, oh shit!
So I stole your thumbnail.
I made the big time.
Yeah, that was well done. Nice Photoshop.
Thank you. I did it all on my piece of shit $150 cell phone. Oh. I'm probably giving them too much shine, but I'm just here to make it seem like the chat is not full of bots. Figured there should be some entertainment somewhere in this train wreck you call a channel.
Oh, geez. Oh, geez. This is war. It's war. We're coming for you, Purple.
Guy.
Actually, I have a few responses. Oh, see, I'm even announcing it. That's how good I am about keeping spoilers. It's coming, Purple.
So should we talk Magic before we have to go, or?
Absolutely, absolutely. So Orzhov. So I'm going to give you the chance to explain your favorite cards. Teysa, Orzhov Scion. So in three sentences, you should tell me why Teysa is your only Orzhov card that you hold dear.
3 sentences?
Is Teysa actually your favorite? I should have, because Teysa is my favorite. Teysa Orzhov Scion is definitely my favorite Orzhov card.
You're going to call me a noob, and you're probably right, but Ghostad is my favorite Orzhov card.
The
Return to Ravnica, or rather Gatecrash, legendary, I think it was like Obsidat
Ghost Council.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I loved it. That card actually got me into Commander. I know this is more than 3 sentences, but I was making fun of my friend Eric for playing Commander, because like you said on the You versus Jeremy podcast last night, which I didn't watch the whole thing, but I watched quite a bit of it.
Where no debate happened.
Exactly. It was a big love fest, bro fest. But either way, I used to make fun of my friend Eric because he was part of that little, like, people in the corner, like, you know, EDH group. And I'm like, oh, you guys are stupid. I love Standard. I love, you know, I used to play Standard when it was Legacy. You know, I'm cool and elite and old. And, you know, I played with Llanowar elves, you know, have fun trying to play with those now. But yeah, I would always make fun of him. And then Ghost Dad came out, and I'm just like, oh shit, that's kind of cool. Like, it's a 5/5 for 4. And I totally noobed it, right? Like, I fell for the bait. I'm just like, this card's terrible. But I'm like, I could blink it, and I could do this, and then whip a Varabos, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, this is pretty sweet. So that's actually my favorite Orzhov card. But if you want to talk about Teysa, I would say Teysa's the OG bitch, right? She's the last of the Maze Runners from the original Ravnica block, if we're talking story. I would say, you know, sack all them creatures, and then that boob window, though. That would be my 3 sentences.
Yeah, why aren't people cosplaying the Teysa? I might get into that. Depends on that.
You're gonna cosplay as Teysa?
No, we need. I'm not with Jeremy. We need more cosplayers.
I agree. Yeah.
But maybe it's because I'm a single guy. So
well, I'm a happily married, you know, four children person. But we need more damn cosplayers.
Yep. Teysa was actually my first commander. So
You're talking
It
about old
was
school, like 3 casting costs, right?
yes. Oh yeah, not the 7-drop. That's
This
not the
7-drop's fun though. You
sort
could do some
of.
fun things with her.
What you have to use something to make people attack you, or what?
Yeah.
Blah,
You do no, it's total jank. It's bullshit. But it's you just do like a no mercy, all the no mercy cards, and there are so many in white and black, and it's just everything is goading people to attack you, and you get all the value. You gain a bunch of life. It's horrible. I know you're giving me that look.
Well, it's just overcosted. They really. I think they dumbed down most of those cards were like that because it was the Celestia one. They gave tokens indestructible.
Terrible.
Yeah,
all your tokens gain indestructible.
It was like, weren't those the cards that were included in the intro packs and the pre-release packs? So you got to play with them. So I think their fear was they didn't want bombs you just opened a bomb no matter what in the pre-release kits. So, but I think that it was terrible for some of the designs of those because they could have been actually really, really cool.
Well, there was some diamonds in the rough there, like Lazov. I think the Demir one was incredible. He's one of my favorite commanders, and also Varolz. I did a deck tech on that on the channel. Varolz is absolutely fantastic because you could use scavenge in EDH and stuff like that. So it does make sense. It made no sense in the standard format, of course, because there was no dredge and his.
Well, there was some pretty good dredge. It was okay. It was just abrupt decay was in the format. So
yeah, but I mean, you haven't lived until you scavenge a Phyrexian, or what was the one for Mirage?
Dreadnought.
Dreadnought. Yeah, and then a Death Shadow and all that, and Circling Vultures become a card, Rogue Elephant becomes a card, and it just opens up this crazy, janky, but super competitive commander deck.
The Hunteds, both the black and green one. Yep, I built I built one for Tiny Leaders. I remember that scam, Tiny Leaders. I definitely built one for that, and yeah, I had Dreadnought. I'm trying to think of some other cards I had in there, just some really undercosted. There was the one that was like an 8-0. Was it an 8-0?
Yeah, Force of Nature, right?
Yeah, I think it's
not
a
Force
6-0.
Force of Savagery.
Yeah.
It was a 3 casting cost. It was 2 and green, and it was an 8-0.
8-0, yeah.
And then
that one was in there. It's been forever since I built it, but there was a 2 mana one that was like a 5/4 that had the Undying, or was it 4/3? There was a lot of those just because I wanted to find everything with like 3 and below was the
Hunted spot. Demon was great. Hunted Troll was great. Everything with the sick, astronomical power that was inherently bad for a reason, and you just kind of scavenge it or dredge it, and then you'd scavenge it, and it's a really fun. It's a glass cannon-y kind of EDH deck, but it can win games by like turn 2.
Usually I'm just not a fan of Ultron, I guess is the terminology used for a commander that tries to one-shot people. Also, people love to put it in like infect cards in there and screw that mechanic. So that's how I feel about infect. So people that just go Glistener Elf and then get back Phyrexian Dreadnought, for example, scavenge it onto, and then kill someone.
You gotta win the game sometime, Kevin.
Infect and commander damage can both just go away. And why do they still have commander damage? It was put into place to try to give an excuse for those bad Elder Dragons to attack, because people were making legacy decks, or like they weren't even caring about any sort of theme with especially Arcady Sabbath. And so like, okay, let's give some people some incentive to actually attack with non-nickel Bolas ones or Victus Asmati ones. So they're okay, sure.
Chromium.
Yeah, let's give you, if you get hit 3 times by the commander, it's so. But now though, it's just led it up to some very abusive commanders, in my opinion, that can easily one-shot people. And it's fine, but when the game ends and you haven't done a damn thing to that person, or you've got kind of a clunky or slow draw, and they decide to pick on you, that's and being Kevin, of course, that's going to be prime target number 1 for that nonsense. I guess Tasty was in the stream what stream was it? Tasty still even in here? We were arguing over Animar. Animar has Defender. Oh, yeah. Come on, you never attack with Animar.
No, you want to win with commander damage. You be that Mardu. Oh, what was his name? He was the orc. Not the mono red one.
Yeah, Zurgo, the other Zurgo. Yeah,
Zurgo. Zurgo, the Helm Smasher.
Yeah.
just do that. Just win with a bunch of swords and
Yeah.
just get it done. I mean, looking at the chat again, MTG Young Mage is just
linking them all. Young Mage is the
all
bot.
all the cards, right?
Yeah,
Amazing.
I mean, Varros is it's still on my to-do list to build, but
so much fun.
I think I've had it in a Mimeoplasm deck too, at one point.
Have you ever played a Kresh?
No.
Okay, so Kresh is Varl. It's the same deck essentially. You just get to throw in some red in there too, which I believe Kresh is just far superior because you get things like Kessig Wolf Run and Gruul Arena and stuff like that. You just get a couple other like you can't block or trample damage or just push through faster. So Kresh is far superior in my opinion to Varl's, and Varl's slots right in. But I always liked Nath because Nath is jank, but I love discard. I've always loved discard. Modern to me, so my favorite formats, Modern is my heart. My favorite Modern deck of all time, and you're gonna laugh at this, but is Allies, Naya Allies. It's my favorite. But I started Modern playing 8-Rack. I just love 8-Rack so much, and I know it's a bad deck.
No, 8-Rack's I played the death out of 8-Rack. My take on 8-Rack was to go with the Infect. Now I hate Infect, but we'll look at Kevin. So Inkmoth Nexus and I think I had a 1 of Phyrexian Batmother and 4 of the Phyrexian. What is that called? Champion. Phyrexian? Yeah. Because it both dodged Lightning Bolt and Path to Exile at the time. Probably not as good as it used to be because it doesn't dodge Fatal Push, and back then too, Abrupt Decay was still a problem for the card.
Absolutely.
But it was it was just 8-Rack Shell, or instead of the racks, so you still had all the discard elements, but instead of either the Ravnica one, now I can't think of the card that does what the rack does, Shrieking Affliction. So
yeah.
No rack, no Shrieking Affliction, and in its place you can add some more control elements and then those creatures and Inkmoth Nexus. So that was the gist of the deck. It was fun for a while.
I played it with no bridge too. I just went straight aggro discard.
Yep. It'll be something if I might revisit Modern. I flirt with it every now and again, but not a fan of the format.
You played Smallpox though, right?
In that deck?
Yeah.
No, because you didn't want to kill your own. You didn't want to kill your own champion. So.
Oh, with the Infect. I gotcha.
Smallpox I've played in various other decks, and that were discard, attrition type stuff. But yeah, it's not I do a Noth. I play Smallpox and Noth. So.
Hell yeah.
Noth is definitely my go-to commander deck if I really want to. If I know people are playing stuff that is degenerate, and usually if we have more than 4 people in the group, then I'll either sleeve up Noth or Nahab, because those get so much better with the more people in the group. And Noth, I feel like it discard. You don't have to worry about shenanigans when no one has a hand. So
sure,
that's why I love Noth. Yep. I think Golgari. Yeah, Golgari is my color. So you guys can call me Golgari Kevin. So
give me the 3 sentences.
The graveyard won't stop me. That is my.
Give me the 3 sentences, man. I'm flipping it back on you.
Well, Golgari, I just think that I've always been interested in how black and green pair with my favorite card of all time. Well, I think my favorite card of all time will now be Marionette Master, but previously Oversold Cemetery was my favorite card. It was really the card that got me brewing, trying to find how. That was the first card I think that I tried to break in more of a competitive fashion. And Oversold Cemetery was a 2-mana enchantment. If you had 4 creatures in your graveyard, the beginning of your upkeep, you return 1 back to your hand. And so you want to find either cast or ETB effects that you could just keep abusing. It was in a rock shell with Eternal Witness, and there was a elf that you could kill to destroy an artifact or enchantment. Remember, Mirrodin block was still in at this point. It was kind of a backswing of it. So the Zealot, that's what it was. The Viridian Zealot was really good. There was still I believe the M set brought some of the Phyrexians that could sack themselves. There was a Fume Spitter type card, I believe, back in the day. But so your graveyard became your resource management with Oversold Cemetery. Ravenous Baloth, it was a beast that came in you could sack to gain 4 life. And it was just rinse and repeat until you grind. That's my style of Magic. Is not combo. It's synergy to eventually outvalue your opponent. That's how I like
It's
to play it.
inevitability.
That's why I like Teysa. Teysa Orzhasyan as a commander. Still one of my, that'd probably my second favorite commander of all time, next to Noth, would be Teysa. Just because it feels like I'm always in control with it. And it builds a very synergistic deck behind. It is the both Noth and Teysa are the engines. So I like commanders that act as the engine of the deck.
That was my tiny leader, was Teysa.
I had a Teysa. I was in tiny leaders. I was very degenerate with Teysa though, because a 50-card deck you could. So Painter Servant, Darkest Hour, and
absolutely,
because neither Painter Servant wasn't banned in tiny leaders. So
and there's that artifact,
yeah.
The Blasting Station, right?
Blasting Station. Yep, that was a 3 mana. That was also in there. A lot of tutors to find that degenerate stuff. So Idyllic Tutor, Vampiric Tutor. Vampiric got banned though, right?
Yes,
I believe so. But all the ones that I could play, Diabolical Intent, all those ones, just to try to make it work. But Young Mage asks what Tiny Leaders is.
I just saw that.
Don't worry about it. It's a dead format. When they copyright the format and tell you that you can't even use their logo and stuff, that's it's never gonna go anywhere. And plus, it lasted like a couple months. And they didn't even update their site after a couple months. The ban list never was updated. It was a 3 convert a mana cost commander format.
Singleton format.
Yeah, singleton format with only 50 cards, a 10-card sideboard, I believe. Mm-hmm. And it was a 1 versus 1 format. So
yes,
for what I think also it attracted a lot of commander players to it, and then like, wait a second, this is everything we hate about Magic. A 1 versus 1. So then they went, commander, like the social aspect, the more casual multiplayer aspect. And so I think that's why 1 versus 1 commander is also having a dismal reception now on MTGO, because it's just not commander, it's just something else. It's just a singleton 1v1 format. It's definitely more representative of that. So it's yeah, Purple, we know you hate commander. That's because I know that everyone would kill you first because you're so miserable to be around.
I don't know what you guys got going on. I'm sure it's all for fun or not. I don't care. But all I know is of MTG Purple is he's just very loud. It always feels like he's yelling at me, so I get like anxiety, and I'm just like, I'm done with this. Well, he's just yelling at me, and I'm done.
That's the internet. People don't understand. See, I saw through Purple right off the bat. Like he's very banterous, very sarcastic. Same with me. And so I saw through it and played along. You cannot imagine how many messages I've received to quit attacking, or that people telling me that Purple didn't mean it. Duh.
I know, right? Hey, I'm sorry. I got to give you like a 5-minute warning because I got to go and do dinner and so.
We're up to your time limit. Look at that. Time does fly. So
I am the fatherest of fathers. So yeah.
Well, if anyone has some quick questions for John, again, if for those who have joined recently, everything is in the description. Link. Highly suggest it. One of my favorite interviews I've ever been in was John's interview, and it's like 50 minutes long. Conley Woods is on there too. Tasty reminded us that he is also an interviewee, right?
Coach twice. Yeah, Tasty was once.
D Manny was in here as well, and you've interviewed. You've done them all.
Conley was so much fun. Just because I in the Twitter feed I was just like, hey, or in the DM I'm like, I'm gonna probably be drinking. Is that cool? He's like, yeah, do it. So I remember pounding. I think it was like 3 Ballast Point like red velvet beers, and he was like keeping up with me too. So that was like by the end of the podcast, we were talking about him in Ireland finding this weird Mexican restaurant where they were forcing him to drink tequila. Like that podcast, or that show rather, was a lot of fun. I mean, yours was great too. I don't know if you know who Ben Bateman is. Ben Bateman's was a lot of fun.
From Star City Game? No, that's Ben Striven. Who's Ben Bateman? I'll have to look up.
So Ben Bateman is the other half of the Masters of Modern podcast with Alex Kessler. Okay. Ben Bateman, that's the only Magic thing he does. He's more of a movie TV guy. He actually like hosted the ESPYs and stuff. So he's kind of like real deal, like movie interviewer. He interviews like actual movie stars. His was a lot of fun. Yeah, the Hive Mind was a blast, and I apologize, everyone that's finding me for the first time on Kevin's channel. I apologize for the lack of MTG content. I did get a little weird with MTG for a little bit, where I'm just like, I'm gonna pump the brakes on this. I'm gonna go look at other things. But Magic has been part of my life since I was 12 years old. And it's like, it's that one thing that's always in the back of my mind that's never going to go away. So, if you did come to my channel, or if you are coming to my channel for the first time and you expect a lot of Magic content, which I think has over, 60, 70 videos of just Magic content in general, stick around, because there definitely is going to be. And I would love to do more. I love this kind of open forum. I'd love to talk to Kevin more. I mean, I think this was a blast.
Well, there's D Manny in the comments section saying he'd love to do one of these.
D was one of them.
Coach,
I did a Hive Mind with D Manny.
Yeah, I know. He says he'd love to have us both on again, and
sure.
And it's the same with me. The biggest problem with me is just, well, now that I'm at the store, you can always see my messy background. It's made life so much easier to do these sort of things. And this last month, and just when I've started to just meet people in Magic, has definitely been the most fulfilling or rewarding time that I've done this YouTube. So I mean, a lot of people know my history with kind of the drama with the YouTube community back in the day, or just where people, the focus was never on the people. It was almost like, what can I get out of you? That's the interviews used to feel like that back in the day. Is like, ooh, how can we brand this to be something? Whereas now I'm just meeting people as people. And it's so much more fun just to know the person behind the Magic, rather than just, well, hopefully we talk about enough Magic to keep everyone interested.
Yeah, sorry guys.
Well, this is me. Just go to any of my streams, and this is what happens every time. So I'm surprised.
And I'd be remiss not to mention Young Mage was. We did a fantastic interview with Young Mage and his father, Papa Mage. I had my son on that Hive Mind too. That was a lot of fun. We had like cool little tandem back and forth, and that is actually the most viewed Hive Mind episode that I have on the channel. Beat you out. You're number 2, sir.
Hey, at least I beat Conley.
Number 2, and Conley's number 3.
Where's Tasty? Down at the very bottom, where he should be.
Bottom of the bear. No, we. I think 4 is Ruben Bressler. He was my whatever. He was my first in studio interview, which was cool. I mean, he was a Vegas guy, so we kind of linked up that way. That was a lot of fun. But yeah. Unfortunately, Kevin, I got a piece out, dude.
It's been great. So go make that dinner. And again, I'll try to have you and Coach, and definitely you and Coach sometime, since we'll have a 3-way. And then some other time, if you ever want me on a podcast or anything, just absolutely.
Yeah, I would love to have you talking movies. I didn't know you're such a movie, not movie buff, because you hated on a lot of
casual.
Shit.
But I'm an old man that rants about everything. If there is something, I have opinion on it. You name it, even stuff I have no business to have an opinion on. I will. So.
Cool. Hey, Kevin, I mean, dude, I'm on the freaking Rogue Deckbuilder show. Like, that's not lost on me. I really, 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 really appreciate this opportunity to be on this stage. I appreciate that you even came on my channel when I was like sub 100, subscribers. I was nothing, still am nothing. But at the time I was like, 60 subscribers. And fucking Rogue Deckbuilder came on my channel. So, I mean, that's amazing, guys. Say what you will about this guy. He's a great guy. He's a great guy in the community. And I just really appreciate you having me on, dude.
Yep. No problem. It was fun. And this was fun. Thanks for coming on.
Absolutely. So on my sign out, you could find me on Twitter at OrzovDunn. You could find me on the YouTubes at They Said We Said. You could find me on Facebook, Jonathan Dunning, or Instagram at Jonathan Dunning. So do all the things. Subscribe if you want. If you don't, I don't care.
Let's push into 1,000. So get your butts over there and sub.
That would be cool, but whatevs. All right.
Well, have a good night and cook some good food.
See ya, dude.
See ya. All right, Purple. I am coming for you. Let it be warned, Mr. Purple. I'm going to go tape a video right now. Dun, dun, dun.